Good morning, Janice.
Good morning, Anthony.
Today we'll discuss business valuation, but during probate.
Yes.
So valuing a business, and we're kind of talking about small businesses, retail, not so much, publicly traded, which have their own values on the exchanges.
Correct.
But business valuation is tricky even under the best of circumstances. And the probate process adds just a few more twists that you need to be aware of. Okay? All right. So first twist is that you are probably not selling a turnkey business. So for context, some people come in with a valuation approach that's based on either comparables, meaning what similar businesses have sold for in the
Correct.
similar area, or a multiple of discretionary income, meaning what sort of income does this business throw off, and then possibly apply a multiplier to that based on the number of years you expect to earn that. But those approaches both assume a fully operational business, which you don't necessarily have when the owner has passed away. You can't use comparables to the grocery store or the restaurant that's the other Italian restaurant down the street where the owner is actually alive and running it versus one where we're kind of in a bit of chaos because the owner has passed. Yeah.
Right.
Similarly, I'm sorry. Yes. So to that point, the business often stops upon the owner's passing, and even if it doesn't stop, and we have seen this personally, the quality of the business. Janice,
Yeah.
can you tell when you're a customer at a business that's owner operated versus one that's not owner operated and is just run by the employees?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yes.
That's what
There's
we're
a little
talking
bit
about.
of, yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Except at least in the situation that you're probably thinking of, where you go to a business and you know that the owner's not there, but at least the owner exists.
Right. At least, they could maybe look on camera or see the next day what's going on. But
Yeah.
if the owner is completely gone, you do tend to notice a very big difference.
Yeah, you see a lot of
Yeah.
inmates running the asylum kind of situations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not
Yep.
great for business, and it's not good, and therefore not great for the valuation of the business.
Right.
And then so buyers want to buy, or typically want to buy, an ongoing, like seamlessly step into an ongoing operation. That's what we mean by turnkey. You get the key and you turn it on like a car, and it's good to go.
Yep.
That's not what
Turn on
you're
the open sign and, yep.
exactly. But that's typically not what you're getting with a probate business. Rather, you are buying into a car that needs a jump start. So you got to bring. I mean, this is like a weird analogy, but you got to bring your battery. You got to, there's
Right.
other steps involved. So you're not. It's not apples to apples. Does that make sense?
It does. You can't just walk in, like you just said about the Italian restaurant, right? As a hypothetical, you can't really walk in and say, "Okay, we're open for business. Here's the menu. Let's go." Yeah.
Very good. Okay. So similarly, just like it's not turnkey, and it's funny that they're both keywords, but there's no key man. A key man is a common phrase in small business as the person like who without this person the business kind of doesn't work, right? You have that, and you often buy key man insurance because in case that person passes away, you understand that the business suffers tremendously in value, so you have life insurance on that person. So that's how important the key man is. With small retail businesses, when you lose your key man, you lose a lot. Let's talk about what you lose here. There's no transfer of knowledge. So if I'm buying a business from another owner-operator, he can tell me all the tips and tricks and all the twists and turns and all the nuances of the business. And there's this transfer of knowledge that it's highly unlikely he has that documented in anywhere. It's all up here,
Yeah.
right?
It is. You're going to walk around with somebody and he's going to say, "Okay, this refrigerator, you have to put it on number 4 instead of number 3." And I mean, that's just stuff you're not going to know.
Or this time of day is most important. You got to make sure you're open during
Yes.
this time, or blah blah blah. Those are things that you lose that transfer of knowledge when the seller owner has passed away.
Yes.
There's no transfer of relationships. So an owner operator typically has great relationships with some of his best customers, with some of his vendors who give him a great deal on the meat or the beer or the whatever. And with the landlord, if you don't own your property, the quality of your lease and your relationship with your landlord is a huge determining factor in the value of the business.
Yes.
Because without the lease, there is no business.
You don't have a business, right? You have just a big couple of piles and boxes of stuff, right?
Without the owner, maybe some of the best customers don't come anymore. Maybe some of the vendors say, "Oh, now it's time to reset our prices. No more of that grandfathered in deal that we had with the prior owner who we loved, but he's passed on and now we're dealing with a new person." And similarly with the landlord, you had a great deal because you were a perfect tenant. but I don't know this new guy, this new buyer, so we're going to renegotiate this lease, you know?
Yeah. And they can, because you're essentially starting completely over.
Very good. Lastly, what's so important about the key man? So a lot of valuation is sometimes based on discretionary income, meaning what does this business actually throw off in terms of income? And that's what we're basing the value on. But I think we all know that, you know, small owner-operated businesses don't necessarily report on the papers exactly what they earn.
Right. Allegedly.
Very good.
Allegedly. Yeah.
So how does a seller, you know, make sure he conveys to the buyer what the business is actually worth? What's the real income? There's a side conversation that happens without the lawyers or without the brokers present. That conversation never happens if the owner has passed away, because the CPA doesn't know the real numbers. He's not supposed to, at least, whatever. Because that conversation never happens, we can never do a valuation based on that, or it's very difficult. It's very unlikely. I mean, if you're the buyer, would you?
No, I mean, it can very easily be nothing to twofold what the business is worth. But
exactly.
If you don't have the conversation, you have no idea.
Exactly. So that's why the key man or the absence of the key man is so important.
Right.
And the last area where probate sort of affects a business valuation is that in probate, a non-operational business in particular, is rapidly declining in value. And we've kind of touched on this, but let's dive into the reasons why. If it's a restaurant or any other type of business with perishable goods, your inventory is just every moment is expiring or rotting or whatever.
Every day, literally every day, right? Yeah.
So again, we are assuming that upon the passing of the owner, either the business ceases to function or functions poorly in the absence of the owner, which I think those are fair assumptions. That's what we've seen.
Yes. Yep.
So if the business closes its doors for a week, a few weeks, a month or two, that might not feel like a long time to an heir who has never run a business before. That's enough time for your most loyal customers to find a new restaurant, a new favorite store. They need their clothes dry cleaned, so they're just going to have to go somewhere else for the time being, and maybe they end up liking that new place. You lose customers.
Yes.
Not only that, whenever this applies just as much to homes as to businesses, but whenever there's anything that appears closed or not attended to, you attract thefts. You attract the Home Alone thieves kind of people, right?
Yeah. Yes.
You attract vandalism. I mean, just activity and light seems to thwart random graffiti and broken glass better than anything else, and just not being operational attracts the kind of bad behavior. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, what is it, like an easy target, right? Yeah. Crime of opportunity. When you know the business is closed, no one's coming around, no one's going to do anything. It's unfortunate, but we've seen it. Yeah.
And then lastly, in terms of rapidly declining value, while this business is not operational, you are still bleeding. You're paying rent, or if you own the business, or even if you own the property, you're paying real estate tax and whatever expenses. You're paying for security to keep away that theft and vandalism. You're paying utilities, and this is all burning while no revenue is coming in.
Right.
So for those reasons, the faster you sell in probate, the better to keep the value from falling further, basically.
Exactly. And the value that the heirs may think that something is, or anyone, it's going, like you said, it's going to be less because of all these factors. Yeah. And every minute you're losing money. If you're paying rent, but it's not open. Yeah. If you're paying the utilities to keep the refrigerators on for the rotting food, like you said, we're just using that as an example. Yeah. I mean, that's just all going in the wrong direction, unfortunately. The longer it sits, the more expensive it is. So we definitely have some experience in this, I would say.
I think they can tell, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We've seen it. We've seen the graffiti and everything else. If you want to know how probate works in general, check out Anthony's book, How Probate Works, available on Amazon. And then if you're dealing with this situation, of course, reach out. Perfect.
Thank you, as usual, Janice. I think this is a very specific, but I think this one has some good information, yeah. Yeah. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Throw us your questions, and we'll try our best to answer them. Talk soon next time. Bye now.
Talk soon.